Hey art lovers, I did this 2-hour oil painting a couple of days ago and I thought I'd give you a walkthrough tutorial, some ideas about how you can accomplish something similar. So I tried for something a bit hard in this one. Instead of doing a sketch and then painting inside that sketch and having all the proportions correct, I started off by just putting paint on the canvas. So I put a mask for where the head shape would be, and then I did a little bit of a dash where the eyes and nose would be for placement on the board. Not so much for getting the proportions right in the actual face itself. Then from there I started to do the hair and the backgrounds. This is to frame the head, to give a better shape and to understand where the proportions are, and to also help find out what the values of the face are. This is because if you sometimes try and paint the face on a white background without having anything to judge, say the hair or the backgrounds, then it gets a little bit harder. So if I know what the background is, what value it is, how dark it is, how light it is, and same with the hair, I can then look at the face and judge it from those two things. And that makes it so the skin tone is generally a little bit more accurate. The values, the hue, everything. So it always pays off to get the background and the hair that shapes the face into the portrait itself before you start onto the skin tone and try and shape the face. Just makes it a bit easier. Now you can see on the face itself, I've started to put two different values. So there's a darker value where the sockets of the eyes would be, where the nose would be, like so, because the light is above, that means there'll be a shadow underneath the nose, and same with the cheeks of the face. So I'm trying to think in two different values, which is a good way to think about things when you're not drawing things out before you paint. So it helps you shape the form, see the form in 3D, rather than just filling in between the lines like you would with a sketch, or how you see some people project and trace and then paint from there. Projecting, tracing, gridding, that makes things a lot easier because you've already got all the proportions of the face down. It's just a matter of painting in between the lines. There's no real guesswork. That's why this form of painting is so hard, because I've got no reference. There's nothing to really paint in between. I'm trying to find the proportions at the same time as painting with very thick paint, which is a very hard challenge. If you want to have a hard challenge to increase your painting skills, the same way a guitarist might do different scales that are hard, different chords that change over quickly, stuff like that. This is a good way to increase your perceptive skills when it comes to painting, because it is a lot harder to do. I've done many paintings where I'll sketch out beforehand, then paint in between the lines, like is the general method, and that's a lot easier. It's very streamlined. You know where everything is, and it's yeah. I would say go try this method if you want to challenge yourself. So after I've done a darker value where the sockets were, where the cheeks were, and underneath the nose, I'll then start to shape it out. So as you probably saw, I started to chisel out, or at least shape where the eyes are going to be, like the eye shapes themselves. So I went from the big shape of the darker value, and then from there I sort of figured out where the eyes are going to be within that darker value. Then I proceeded to work both eyes at once. This is because if you try and do one eye, get it fully done, then do the second eye, usually they'll be out of place. One will be a little bit above or below, a little bit to left or right, just not exactly in the right position. So working both eyes at once, or at least the eye shapes, and then later on doing the eyes themselves, the irises and so on, I find it's a lot more accurate. Less errors, and I think it looks a little bit better. I will say as well, from the photo I was doing this off of, she was wearing pretty dark eyeliner, so her eyelids would be close to black. But whenever you try and do that in the painting and put just black, it never fully looks accurate, because the eyelids slash the eyelashes are never fully black. They're like a dark value if there's like some eyelash curl or whatever it's called. I have no idea. But that will darken the eyelids and the eyelashes quite a bit, but it's never fully black. In the same way, the white in an eye is never fully white. It's sort of closer to the skin tone than it is pure white. These are things you need to think of when trying to draw or paint eyes. Another thing I should say I'm trying to do is not to really blend that much. So every stroke I put down, I've generally got quite a lot of paint on the brush, and then I put it down till it's almost fully opaque. Sometimes blending can make the colors a little bit desaturated or muddy. So yeah, when you put down full thick oil paint, you don't really get that so much. It is a bit harder though because you have to mix the next color that comes after it. So if you got a light value, you have to find the darker value next to that light value, which can sometimes make it a bit more difficult to paint so thick. But once again, it's a fun challenge, and if you can do these types of paintings where you have no sketch, you're painting thick, you've got no sort of um, reference on the actual board itself of where things should go, then you do learn a fair bit that you can take over to longer paintings. So this is done in 2 hours. If you do many 2 hour paintings, 3 hour paintings, 4 hour paintings like this, those 20-hour paintings are a lot easier by contrast because you learn all the stuff you need to learn in these quick paintings and you can transfer that to the longer paintings. And usually it makes those longer paintings quicker, so you can do them quicker. They don't become long paintings, they're just done. The only hard thing about doing, or hard on the ego thing about doing about these paintings is I know I could take this 2 hour painting and turn it into a 6 hour painting and it'll look way better. I'm purposely limiting myself to 2 hours rather than extending it. So I'm trying to make things as simple as I can while trying to make it look like that person. So I'm trying to do the level of the finish to the amount of time that I have to do it in, which is a lesson in of itself. The main key to these types of paintings is comparison. So you compare the darkest dark to the lightest light. You compare the mid-tone to the dark, the mid-tone to the light. You compare the shadow color to the light color. And most importantly, you compare one feature to another. So in a lot of this painting, I was comparing the nose to the eyes, the mouth to the eyes, the chin to the eyes, the hairline to the eyes, and so on. If you notice, I started with a mass, and then the first thing I really started to define was the eyes. This gave me a really good reference point to judge things off of. And here is my favorite part in the painting, 2 dabs for the pupils. The way this works is I've built up everything. I've built up the eye shape, I built up the eye color, and then after that, all there was is to put the 2 dabs for the pupils. And I love the simplicity of that, just being able to put 2 strokes and then something is defined. It's something that you build up to. So although I haven't gotten any true darks or lights in the painting, as soon as you put one in, like those pupils, it makes things pop. I think also because I didn't make the eyelids really dark, I didn't make the eyelashes really dark, it makes the pupils in the eyes stand out a fair bit more. One thing I noticed was I always used to put really dark for the eyelashes and it never came out right, as I was saying earlier. I think going light for these quick paintings is best. When you have the time in a longer painting, you can put in those darks in just the right places. But in these quick paintings, you really need to have economy of brush strokes and to make sure that you work as quickly as possible. One thing that's always good to do before you go into a painting is to have an intention. And I don't mean like some spiritual BS, must have intention to have action sort of thing. I mean, know what you want to accomplish before you try and do it. So I wanted to paint thick. I wanted to do it within 2 hours. I wanted to start without a sketch. I wanted it to be in the warm sort of skin tones. I wanted to just do my best in those hours. That's one intention. Another intention could be I want it to be very realistic. I want it to be of accurate proportions without any deviation. I want it to look very colorful at the same time. I want it to look like this artist or that artist or be influenced by that person. That would be another intention. Considering this is a quick study, once again, my intention was not that at all. Mine was to be quick, to be bold, to paint thick, and to pretty much see what you're seeing at the moment, to do all of this within 2 hours without a sketch. So I think intention is always a good thing to have. What do you want it to achieve? What do you want it to express? What type of brushstrokes? How realistic? How colorful? What is the time frame? So on. Those intentions are always good to have. You don't necessarily always need to meet those intentions, you just need to try your best to do so. So here's a bit of a close-up of what it looks like, and you can really start to see the very thick brush strokes there. Like, it's pretty thick. I didn't really blend much. As you zoom out, you can see in the whole of the painting. And yeah, I wonder if any of you can guess who it is, because I didn't really try for most accurate proportions in this one. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the painting and tutorial. I hope it helps you paint in the same way or gives you some inspiration. Like the video, comment, subscribe, do the whole bell thing, and maybe I'll do some more. Also, this painting is for sale if you want it. Hit me up on my Instagram @ZombieLocky. Have a good day.